who appeared in the late 15th century and performed his activities mainly in the 16th century. And he is the father and inaugurator of the Hare Krishna movement, the movement of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, specifically the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which consists of the holy names of Radha and Krishna. The Hare and Hare Krishna, as was mentioned, we had a very nice class this morning which mentioned these topics, and they were summarized very nicely, very well done. The Hare in Hare Krishna is actually Radha, or Hara, Mother Hara, the internal potency of Krishna. Krishna has different energies. One of the energies is of Krishna. Remember, he's God, okay? He has many powers, many energies, many potencies, which are actually inconceivable in their fullness and their depth. But one of the potencies of the Lord with which we are all very familiar is his external potency. That is the material universe, the material energy, which comprises and manifests this cosmic manifestation in which we all live. That is called the external potency, or the material potency of the Lord. Then there is another potency, which is his internal energy. And that internal energy is something outside of our experience. And that comprises the entirety of the spiritual reality, the spiritual cosmos. The Bhagavad Gita mentions that beyond this material universe, there is another spiritual existence, and that part is eternal and remains as it is even after this material cosmos is dismantled or destroyed, which it is periodically. According to the Vedic concept of time, the universe is periodically created and destroyed. Radharani falls under the category of this internal potency of Krishna. And it is a bit esoteric understanding, but bear with me. You will get some benefit from this. So aside from the spiritual world being mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, also this concept of Radharani is obliquely referred to in the very famous verse, Mahatmanas tumam partha, daivam prakritim ashrita, vajantyana namanaso gyatva bhuta vibhagaya. That the great souls, the Mahatmas, that doesn't mean just the famous politician of the 20th century who was involved in Indian independence. Actually, his Mahatma Gandhi, his actual name was Mohandas Gandhi. And Mohandas means, it's like a Vaishnava name, Mohan referring to Krishna, and Das means the servant. So, but the real definition of Mahatma is explained in Bhagavad Gita, that a real Mahatma is Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante, one who knows Krishna in truth and thus surrenders unto him. This is the real definition of Mahatma. It doesn't mean like famous politician. About Gandhi, they used to say that he was either a saint amongst the politician, or he was a politician amongst the saints. So in this verse I referred to, Krishna explains how the Mahatmanas tumam partha, the great souls who are always hearing and chanting about Krishna and meditating on him and devoting their lives to the service of Krishna, or God, the supreme possessor of all energies. Daivam prakritim ashritaha. It says, Mahatmanas to Mam. Mam means me. So, Mam, Daivam prakritim ashritaha. The great souls, they take shelter. Ashritaha means shelter. Yeah, this word ashritaha, other related words are like ashrama. An ashrama is a place where devotees take shelter of the Lord and live a yogic lifestyle. So same idea, ashrita, they take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti. Prakriti means the potency of God, and Daivi means godly, spiritual, or the internal potency. So we know about the external material potency quite well. We're all dealing with it all the time. And then there's this internal potency where the great souls take shelter. And the topmost manifestation of that internal potency is Srimati Radharani. And she is in charge of a couple of things. One, she's in charge of pleasing Krishna. She is the embodiment of devotional service, or bhakti yoga, which we are practicing. She is the topmost practitioner, an example of devotional service, because everything that she does, everything that she thinks, indeed her entire spiritual existence, the way she appears, the way she dresses, the way she sees everything and everyone, is completely in relation to pleasing Krishna. And that is her only business, is pleasing Krishna. Sometimes it says she's the best devotee of Krishna. So she's the topmost devotee of Krishna. And not only that, but she's also in charge of devotional service to Krishna. And from Radharani on down, everyone is actually a servant of Krishna. We generally think of ourselves in terms of our material identity, this body. But the point is made in the Vedas that in the Bhagavatam, Yasyatma buddhi kunupe tridatoke swadi kalatradishu bhauma ijati jatirta buddhi shaline nikarhachich janeshu abigeshu saiva gokaraha. But someone who thinks that Yasyatma buddhi, a person who's thinking that that this material body, which is composed of different elements, specifically this verse refers to akunupe tridhatuke, the three dhatus, mucus, bile, and air. In Ayurvedic science, they analyze the material body in this way, and they're able to affect cures for different diseases based on the balancing of the different dhatus within the body. So one who thinks tridhatuke, that I am this body, then he is a fool. And he's no better than an animal. Saiva gokaraha. Go means cow, and kara means the ass. Or in this part of the world, the burro, the donkey. Same thing. Donkey's a very foolish creature, generally speaking. So if one is thinking that I am this material body composed of these material elements, then he's no better than an animal. He has no spiritual realization. Similarly, Sotat kalatradishu boma ijadi, one who thinks that a boma ijadi, that boma ijadi, the place on earth where he has taken birth, it is worshipable because, why? Why is it worshipable? Because I have taken my birth there. So it is a holy place because I am from there. And one who's very attached to his place of birth or where he grows up, boma ijadi. Saiva gokaraha. He's no better than an animal, thinking that that is the importance place in his life. You know, I was born in a very small town in South Carolina, which is a very insignificant place. But fortunately, when I was like 2 months old, we left that place. I've never been back. So, but it is not a worshipable place. Just trust me on that one. If you've been to South Carolina, you may know these things. It is not a worshipable place. Although the people who live there think it must be. Similarly, people who are from different places, different towns, like New Yorkers, for example. There are many New Yorkers, they never set foot outside New York. Why should they? Everything is there. Money, fame, knowledge, art, culture. It's the world capital of materialistic culture. So why should they leave? But they think that that is the greatest place. And it is the greatest place because they have taken their birth there. Or perhaps they think they're very fortunate to take their birth there. But that is all tied up, again, in this Saiva Gaukaraha. Similarly, Jatirtha Buddhi Shalile Nikarchij. Sometimes people, they want to go on a holy pilgrimage. So they'll go to some spot that is far away that has a body of water there. And they think that if they take baths in that body of water, then it's like a holy pilgrimage. You know, we don't have a lot of bodies of water around here. So if someone is thinking, yes, let me go to Lake Patagonia and take my bath, it is like a holy pilgrimage. Well, it's true, it's cooler and it's wet, but does that make it a place of pilgrimage? Jatirtha Buddhi Shalile Nikarchij. Just to take bath there, oh, it is a great pilgrimage. Now my life is complete. And there are many different places in the world where people will think it's a great pilgrimage because there's a body of water there. But that has nothing to do with our real identity or our real business in life. And we mentioned the internal spiritual potency of Krishna, Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha, where the great souls are taking shelter. They're they're always worshiping Krishna. Gyatva Bhuta Dimabhya, because they know. Gyatva means they have this understanding that Krishna's energies are unlimited and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the business of the great souls. It is not the business of politicians, scientists, philosophers, academics, scholars, great thinkers, poets, etc. That is not where they take shelter. They take shelter generally in the mind, and the common people take shelter in the pleasures of the body, you know, drinking, smoking. You know, if you watch a movie or something, they're always like drinking and smoking, and that's glorified through that media. But that is the common men who are like asses and don't have any spiritual understanding. But aside from this internal potency of Krishna and this external potency that we're aware of, the material world, the material energy, Krishna says there's another energy. Aparayami tastoamyam prakatim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. And that third energy is the living entities. That's us. All the living entities in this world. We actually have a spiritual identity, and that is our nature. We're a spiritual spark, a part of the Supreme Lord. We're expanded from Him. So that is who we really are. And but unfortunately, Jiva Bhuta Maha Bahu, Yedam Dharyate Jagat. We're struggling very hard in this world, the living entities. Why are we struggling so hard? Why are we suffering? This is the inquiry of Sanatana Goswami. He said to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that, and Sanatana Goswami is a very elevated personality. He's one of the intimate associates of the Lord in Vrindavan in the spiritual world. And he took birth at the time that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing his pastimes in order to assist him both in renovating and excavating the areas of Sri Vrindavan Dham where Krishna performed his pastimes, and in writing books meant to enlighten humanity about their actual spiritual position. So he said to Lord Chaitanya, who am I? And why am I suffering like a dog? under the constant beating of the material energy. And actually, this is the experience of everyone in the material world. No one is exempt from the vicissitudes and the sufferings and the miseries that are visited upon us by the material energy. Primarily, that's defined as birth, death, old age, and disease. We don't think too much about birth because that was a while ago, and we forgot what it was like. It's actually the living entity in the womb is in a very painful situation, and it is so difficult that he prays to Krishna while he's in the womb. Oh my Lord, I have forgotten you for so many lifetimes, and now I'm in this most difficult, painful position. Sometimes people talk about, oh yes, the womb is so nice, the mother's womb, want to go back into the womb. But actually the living entity is all scrunched up, his body, his neck is bent over, his back is arched, it's very uncomfortable. He's being bitten by various types of worms and bugs that are there in the amniotic fluid. And if the mother eats some spicy or pungent food, then he suffers from that. Perhaps she's smoking and drinking, that makes him suffer. I know when I took birth, everybody smoked back in those days, including my own mother smoked and drank. It's a wonder I'm even still alive today to talk about it, although it was many decades ago. But that is not a comfortable position, living in the womb. It's a very difficult, and he's praying to Krishna. All right, you just please, especially in like the last month of the pregnancy, please just let me out of here. I got to get out of here. I can't take this suffering anymore. It's too horrible. I'll do anything. I'll become your devotee. I will practice Krishna consciousness very nicely. I will do everything good. My Lord, this life I will not perform any sinful activities. Just please let me out of here. Then he takes birth, and what happens? Forgets everything. He forgets his identity. He forgets about God, and all he knows is that he's so much absorbed in the bodily concept of life, and he's got this little tiny undeveloped body with the undeveloped brain. He doesn't know who he is and where he is, and all he knows is everyone is patting him on the head and saying goo goo gaga, and, you cute little thing, and here, eat this, and the parents take such nice care of the child. He's so pampered, and he's thinking, yes, now I'm enjoying. They have made me the center of their universe. Life is good. And so he completely forgets his spiritual identity. Then he goes to school. Oh my God. He's miseducated in the school, which Srila Prabhupada calls our modern education system the slaughterhouse. It slaughters everyone's spiritual propensities by teaching them to become a materialist. And traditionally, in the Vedic system, you would have the boys would go at age 5 to the ashram of the spiritual master and learn to chant the Vedic mantras and be engaged in performing sacrifices, doing meditation, living an austere life, and serving at the pleasure of the spiritual master to make spiritual advancement, and being trained very firmly in brahmacharya or celibate student life. That's not going on now. It is going on in our movement, but in the world at large, it is not happening at all. And what is the real ultimate slaughterhouse for the living entities? University education. You know what happens at universities, right? Freshmen come into the dorm. Oh, we're free now. The parents aren't looking. They're paying for it. And what time is it? Party time! Woohoo! And they go wild. Because finally they got out of their little town and into the big university, and all the other kids are just going nuts, taking drugs, drinking, partying. There's a little studying going on. Some kids are very serious, but for the most part, it's like, now the senses are free to enjoy. Now we are free. We've gotten out of the house. And that is the slaughterhouse, spiritually speaking, for the living beings. all sinful activities become the focus of life, and one becomes completely absorbed in forgetfulness of the Lord and completely absorbed in the material concept of life. I am this body, I am these senses, and the business of this body and these senses is to enjoy sense gratification. And that is a condition of modern society. It is a very lamentable situation. But that's what it is. But we are teaching something different here in the Krishna consciousness movement. We are teaching that your real business in this human form of life is to use your body and your senses and your mind and your time, your mental energy, your intellectual propensities, your talents, everything in the service of the Lord. And therefore we teach this process of bhakti yoga, which, as we mentioned earlier, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of Krishna, taught this chanting of the holy names, the Hare Krishna mantra. So Hare refers to Radha. So we're chanting, we're praying, "Oh, Mother Radharani, the internal spiritual potency of the Lord, please, you engage me in the service of Krishna." That's the prayer of the Hare Krishna mantra. And by chanting this vibration of these holy names, it's very powerful. One associates with Krishna and Radha through the sound vibration of the holy names of the Lord. As Lord Chaitanya has prayed, and he wrote 8 famous verses called the Shikshashtaka. Nam Nam Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. Sarva Shakti means all your energies. You've invested all your energies in these holy names. And these holy names like Krishna and Govinda. And these holy names are so powerful that even if one is not very expert in following the Vedic way of life and engaging oneself for spiritual advancement, just by vibrating this sound, then one achieves the association of Krishna through this spiritual energy. And then his life begins to change. And he becomes spiritually inclined and oriented, and begins to, by associating with other devotees, learn this science and make spiritual advancement and give up all the foolishness and the nonsense that is so widely advertised and coveted by modern materialistic society, like intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, and meat eating. Those are the 4 primary sinful activities we see manifest in this age. And before coming to Krishna consciousness, we have no idea. Everyone's thinking these things are the goal. This is what you do. This is how you enjoy life. But actually, it is a primrose path that one is being led down by the material energy, whose job it is. She's the servant of Krishna, and she's keeping all the living entities who are trying to be forgetful of Krishna engaged in that forgetfulness. But to be Krishna conscious means to come into a state of remembrance of Krishna. And that state is called meditation, or the state of yogic grace, whereby one is, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. Manmana, think of me. Bhavamad Bhakto, become my devotee. Offer your obeisances unto me and worship me, and then surely you will come to me. This is the yogic process that Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita. So Srimati Radharani, she is the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of Krishna. And she is in charge of the devotional service of Krishna. So everyone who wants to become Krishna conscious, they take shelter of Radharani. Therefore we chant Hare Krishna. O Radha, please engage me in the service of Krishna. Hare Hare, O Radha, O Radha, Krishna Krishna, please make me the servant of your master, Lord Krishna. And so that is a glimpse into the understanding of Radha. And furthermore, some of you may know, some of you may not know about Lord Chaitanya, the inaugurator of the Krishna conscious movement. He is Krishna himself, but he is a very special appearance of Krishna. He comes as a devotee, and Krishna is blackish in his appearance, and Lord Chaitanya is golden in his appearance, which is the color of Radharani, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Radharani is this brilliant golden color. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he wants to taste the love that Radha has for him. She's the highest embodiment of love of Krishna. And this Krishna consciousness movement is the key to developing our love for Krishna through the chanting of the holy names. So that all comes under the jurisdiction of Srimati Radhika, Radharani herself. So he is Krishna, but he is experiencing the mood and the emotion and has the bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. And that is the secret to understanding Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And simultaneously, while himself tasting Radha's love, he vigorously preached and propagated the chanting of the holy names all over India, going all over India by foot, taking great difficulty to do that. He wasn't flying, he wasn't driving, he wasn't riding the Indian Railway. Of course, there was no Indian Railway in the 16th century. He was traveling by foot, going town to town, village to village, temple to temple, preaching and demonstrating the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. And therefore, one of his leading followers, Rupa Goswami, has written, Namo Mahabharanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namne Gauda Tvishe Namaha. That you are not like any other incarnation. You are the most fabulous, generous, magnanimous incarnation of Krishna. Because why? Krishna Prema Pradayate. You're freely giving out this Krishna Prema, love of Krishna, to anyone and everyone, even though that the candidate may not have any qualification whatsoever. Just by giving the holy name, then Srila Prabhupada writes that never in the history of the world have so many people become interested in the subject matter of love of God. And that is the contribution of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and this Krishna consciousness movement, which is the movement of what? Of Radha's love for Krishna. That is the quintessential esoteric and inner meaning of the chanting of the holy names and of the living of the life of a Krishna conscious person. All right, so that is what we have to offer for you tonight. Very briefly, any questions or comments? Someone has a realization or an understanding or a question about this subject matter? Yes, sir.
More of just a statement. Thankful to be here to educate myself more on the spiritual.
Yes, the Krishna conscious movement is an educational movement. We're educating people in the techniques and values and culture of spiritual life, which is so woefully absent in contemporary society. The materialistic concept of life is spread all over the world in places where formerly it was not, where people were living simpler, agrarian way of life and more spiritually connected to God through their culture and their lifestyle. But that's gone now. That's disappeared. And everyone's tuned into whatever, MTV, or that's probably not that big anymore. That was in the 80s. Now everyone is tuned into Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. They said that when that announcement was made, the whole internet blew up and froze, and then everyone was, we were hearing that on NPR, that all the professors and Like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the world. And, the whole world has to stop now because, wow. And they're, what are they? Famous, beautiful, rich? Yes. Spiritually elevated? No. No, but everyone is worshiping through hearing and chanting their activities. But in Krishna consciousness, we hear and chant about Lord Chaitanya and about Radha and Krishna. And that enriches our lives and helps bring us up out of this gross bodily concept and this low-class material culture up into a different realm of existence, which ultimately leads us back home, back to the spiritual world. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Mati Radharani ki jai.